Hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show that's adding more Joshes all the time. One of these days we'll have 3 on one.
No, we'll have an all Josh show. So yeah. So I'm Sam.
I'm Cody.
And I'm Josh Prime.
And this week we have a very special guest once again with us, Josh Nealis of Cutthroat Comics. Josh, how you doing?
Pretty good. I guess I can be Josh from Earth 2.
There we go. Earth 2 Josh. I like it. So we have a great show for you all this week. We're going to be going over a lot of stuff. We're going to be talking about D23. We're going to do a big review of Deadpool and Wolverine. Pretty excited for that. But before we get into all that, I do want to do a quick rundown with you, Josh, about some of the things you've been doing. The big one right now is the big Turkey Sharks, the big finale to that storyline. Is that right?
Yeah. And it is, I don't know that I'd call it a big finale, but it's the finale.
Okay.
Because the book's the normal size. We didn't make it bigger. But yeah, it's a 5-issue series, and it's all available on Kickstarter. And it's one of those things. And I've been telling people, especially with this one, now that the story is concluding for now, that if you love comic books, this is a comic book for comic book people. I mean, it's got all the tropes and silliness and fun stuff, and it's got the fighting with superheroes and all the satire, and I mean, it's just as comic book can be.
Well, that's excellent. So how's the Kickstarter going so far?
I'm not gonna lie, it's been rough. We've done really well with the first 4, and unfortunately, I wish I could say it's something I'm doing. It seems to be a lot of creators are struggling on Kickstarter right now. We are funded. Granted, our funding, we do a little different. So a lot of creators, they'll put like what they really need. They'll put, $3,000 or whatever it is they actually need. I usually just set our goal to 500. That way we know we're going to hit. And because with Kickstarter, you don't get anything if you don't hit your funding. So if you set it for $3,000 and you get $2,999, you wasted your time. You get zero.
Yeah.
So technically the book costs about $3,000 to make. So we would love to hit that. But right now, we hit our $500 minimum goal. But we've got a lot of fun stretch goals and stuff to hit too, free add-ons and things like that. So we'd love to just keep pushing until I think it ends on whatever last day of the month we have here. I don't know if there's 30 or 31 days, whatever it is. Yeah.
So we're about 15 or so days into it. Got about 2 weeks left on it. Yep. So I had one question about you doing Kickstarter specifically. Okay. So since this is your 5th, you've been involved with 6. This is your 5th Kickstarter by yourself. What is something that if you could go back in time to the first Kickstarter, is there anything you would do differently? Is there anything you'd tell yourself to try differently along with the process and everything?
Honestly and oddly, I did a podcast, like a week ago, and it was basically like, you go on there and they workshop your Kickstarter and stuff and tell you, and some of the guys that host it are like pros at Kickstarter. They do like $30,000 campaigns and stuff.
Wow.
But
we're not pros at anything.
Yeah, they looked at mine and stuff, and they gave me some hints, and I went and changed it and stuff. But yeah, this one, I don't know. We've done so well on the first 4, and it's never easy to promote these. Like I was telling you guys, we're on day 16 of the month. I've had a podcast almost every day. So on top of coming home, doing my workout, my daily writing, doing all the Facebook and TikToks and all that, then podcasts at the end of the night. Like I'm dead every night when I hit the bed. Kickstarters are weird, like a little bit behind the scenes stuff. They make you very anxious.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah.
I definitely imagine.
I'd be checking it every 2 seconds.
Yeah, the first few I did. For this one, I check it like about once a day, and you get 2 emails a day regardless. So it's like you hear your phone ding, and you're like, let's see if we're still stuck, And sometimes you get a few extra backers, and you're like, hey, all right. But yeah, it's Kickstarter's not for the faint of heart. I'm really good at person to person sales. Like I love being at cons and meeting people and showing them my work. Yeah, online stuff is where I struggle. But I'm trying to be better at it. It just takes a lot of work, and you have to adapt. It's one of those things, like football players in the off season, they work on their weaknesses and stuff. It's just one of those things. You got to work on your weaknesses. So.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that is difficult, and don't sell yourself short. The short videos and the TikToks that you do, not just pertaining to this. I think you did like buying comics, lot sales or whatever, and kind of go through those and some of the other stuff that you've done. It's excellent. It's very good. So yeah. But no, I definitely understand that the digital marketing, especially just kind of going out to the masses without seeing someone face to face, I could definitely relate to that being kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's tough, and especially, I'm 42 years old, so I'm like right in there where it's like I'm not quite super awesome at social media, but I'm old school in the way of like, person to person sales and stuff like that, and technology is ruining the planet and all that. So yeah, it's you have to adapt.
Just getting eyes on stuff on the internet is just so hard anymore.
It is.
Yeah, because it pulls internet is pulling like your attention in so many different directions all at once, and you got to be like right on it, and it's tough.
It can be really disheartening too, because sometimes it feels like you're just screaming into the void to nothing. And
oh sure, or you could be like the Nerd Overload Facebook page, and every time we boost something, we get 10 million emails from scammers trying to tell us that our page is going to be shut down in 3 days.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is mad about our Facebook page.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right.
Definitely doesn't help. So
you get those on Kickstarter too.
Yeah, I bet. So I wanted to jump over to some of the other things that you've been working on. As I understand it, you are working on or have worked on a book that's a little different than what you've kind of done in the past. I know you've done primarily fiction, but this is a nonfiction about something very close to you, some health issues. Is that right?
Yeah. It's I tell you what, man, all three men. Waking up one day on Halloween and having to go to the doctor, and then you get diagnosed with cancer is not a fun day. It doesn't make for a good Friday. I think it was a Friday, but you work through it and everything. And I'm the type of person that, when something bad happens to me, I try to not overshare, but I share my experiences in hopes that, somebody might read it and learn from it and understand that they're not the only one going through it. So I wrote a book on my experience of going through cancer, and now, as of right now, I'm cancer free. I'm still not
good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. It's one of those things, not to get off the topic, but people will say like congrats all the time about random things. Like you get a girlfriend, they're like, hey, congrats. It's like, well, I mean, I didn't really earn that necessarily. Cancer definitely is a congratulations type of thing because it really puts you through the ringer. That's for sure. And when I talked to my doctor towards the end of it, I asked him, I said, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, where is this treatment being like, 1 being easy and 10 being hard? And he didn't even like hesitate. He's like, oh, this is a 10. He's like, you got the worst one. So it was not fun.
No, I bet not. Jeez. So because this is, a very personal thing for you, how was the process different between writing this and, say, writing Turkey Sharks #5?
Yeah, comics, obviously writing about cancer is not super fun.
Well, sure. Funny. No, no, definitely not.
But, and I wrote a book on divorce as well, so I kind of had a little bit of idea of how I wanted to set it up and everything, but really it was kind of like a little bit of pressure because I was afraid I would forget something that was important to put in the book. So yeah, the whole time I was going through everything, I started the book fairly early. As I got, for lack of a better term, sicker and sicker, it was really like once a week I would sit down and say like, okay, here's what this week was like for me. But yeah, it goes through like coping. It goes through like medical bills. It goes through how to, like I touch on like religion a little bit, like, whether you have it or not. I touch on like for other people, like say, somebody, how you should maybe approach them. For instance, one of the things for me is, a lot of people aren't going to ask for help. I'm certainly one of those people. So if somebody's going through something difficult, and it doesn't even have to be cancer, it could be divorce, it could be losing their pinky toe or a dog or a cat, instead of like telling them, hey, if you need something, reach out. Ask them what they need. Ask them what you can do. Ask them a direct question where they can give you an answer. Because, a lot of people, if you say, hey, reach out if you need something, they're not going to, because it's just, I think, human nature to want to fend for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's one of the points in the book that I tried to stress is just these little things that I thought about. And I was pretty public about it. And I touch on all that, whether that was a good idea or bad idea in the book as well. So there's a lot in it, I think, for somebody.
Well, that's fantastic that, given kind of your experience with it and kind of helping other people who are going through it or know someone who is going through that kind of thing. That's it's really good stuff. And, I'm sure everybody, plenty of people appreciate, myself included. We all, everybody kind of appreciates, you're kind of sharing your story with all of that. One last thing before we move off of this topic. I know you said it was kind of difficult to write some of the passages going through, week to week or day to day or what have you. Did you feel any kind of like catharsis after it was as you started to kind of round the corner, come out and being able to kind of put your thoughts on paper and kind of get it, not to say get it out of your system, but for lack of a better way of putting it, kind of putting it on paper and making it realized and kind of help organize those kind of thoughts and feelings?
Yeah, a little bit, but not as much as like some of the fiction, because some of the fiction, and I would imagine most writers do this, there's truth to the fiction, and you just kind of add some hyperbole and twist it with, 2 or 3 different stories and stuff like that, and you can get certain feelings out that way. But yeah, I mean, there are parts of that book where I'm basically just tearing my heart out and saying what I feel. So, I mean, yes and no. Do want to mention too, because it's most important that, this book isn't just for me to make money off of the condition. Part of the proceeds go to a nonprofit here in town that helped me out. It's called Cancer Patient Services. So every sale of that book, part of the proceeds, I donate to them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
That's really, really cool. Last thing before we kind of jump into the rest of the show here. So what kind of projects do you have coming up post Turkey Sharks?
Well, we're back up and running. It took me a little bit to get everything, get all the cogs turning again and everything. But yeah, after Turkey Sharks, I'm smack dab in the middle of my next novel, which is a romantic comedy from the male point of view called The Bro Code.
Oh, okay.
Our next comic book will be a spinoff. It's a prequel of my novel Cocaine Stripper Stronghold. So you get to follow Jane, who is the main character of the novel. You get to see where she came from, basically.
Oh, cool.
Almost like a Star Wars prequel thing, but it's going to be good, and there's no Jar Jar Binkses in it.
Oh, that's good. That's a good, yeah.
You always want to avoid those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't hate Jar Jar myself, but I know
you know what? He got a lot of he caught a lot of flack that I don't know was totally deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. In hindsight,
I know I've teased this a little bit because I love teasing it because, again, nothing's a done deal until it's done, right? Especially in the artistic realm. But I got a phone call the other day from a very big name artist who I'd been emailing back and forth. And, it was a phone number I didn't recognize. And I was like, who is this? For my day job, I have to answer because I get calls from who knows where all the time. Mm-hmm. But I answered it and I was like, hello. And the person was like, hey, Josh, this is so-and-so. And I literally almost dropped my phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a comic book legend that has agreed to work on the Cocaine Stripper Stronghold series. And I can't wait until I get some of the art and it's paid up. And then I can be like, it's a done deal. But hopefully soon I'll be announcing that.
Oh, that's amazing. I cannot wait to hear the official announcement of everything. I'm excited to know. Yeah. Incredibly exciting. Absolutely.
I'm putting my bet in my bet in the pool and I'm saying Jim Lee.
Oh. I'm not going to confirm yes or no, although that would be amazing.
Well, excellent. So before we wrap up with you here, why don't you go ahead and we'll do this at the end of the show as well. But if you want to go ahead and plug, your books, the Kickstarter, the website, in-person appearances, anything like that.
Yeah. I've pretty much cutthroatcomics.com is where you can find all the information. Right on the homepage, there's a link to the Kickstarter. Right on the homepage is a list of all the cons that myself and some of the other creative teams will be at. People are smart. They know how to find us on all the socials and all that. So, look us up and you get to see my smiling face and see my stupid jokes more often.
Well, Josh, thank you very much for taking some time to come on the show and talk about everything. Do you want to stick around with us while we kind of get into some of the other things, including the Deadpool and Wolverine? Review?
You know I want to talk about that.
Sure. I figured. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to hit the jingle, and then we'll jump right into it with our Check It Outs.
Check it out!
I do kind of have a question for Josh real quick.
Oh, sure. Go for it.
The prequel to your book, Cocaine Stripper Stronghold, it wouldn't happen to be called Pixie Stick Cutie Treehouse, would it?
That would be funny. No, keeping the same title.
The pup named Scooby-Doo version of your book?
Yeah. The comics are going to be toned down because the novel is super raunchy comedy. This is more just a zombie comedy. In my comics, I don't do nudity and stuff like that. I mean, there's cursing and violence, but yeah, I don't. I like my comics to be not super.
I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
yeah.
I guess you don't draw the lines. You just write where the lines go.
I don't draw the lines.
All right. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Deadpool and Wolverine. First impressions. Josh N. What did you think? First impressions.
So yeah, I love the movie. I think it's tons of fun. Since we're not doing spoilers just yet, I will say that there was one single thing in the movie that I absolutely despise with every fiber of my being. And outside of that one thing, the movie's perfect.
Okay, I'm very interested to hear what this one thing is. So I absolutely loved it. I actually saw it opening weekend, and then about a week later, my dad, who I've gone to see the other two Deadpool movies with, was like, hey, anytime you want to go down, anytime you have some free time, let's do it. And it was just as good the second time through. Watching it a second time, I loved going back and kind of seeing all the Easter eggs and all the extra stuff, because they threw just an absolute ton of like background characters and all sorts of other stuff.
Extra.
Extra. Yeah. Okay. Earth One Josh.
Did you just forget my last name?
No, it's I know.
No. I see how it is. I see it how it is. Say hi to your cousin Jeff for me. Anyway, I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. I was a little worried that the Disneyfication of it would hurt it, but it didn't feel like that. It definitely felt like a crescendo of like an era of films. Oh yeah, a lot of it was just a love letter to the old the Fox, 20th Century Fox, the Fox Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love the movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. They always manage to highlight the best parts of Deadpool and avoid the worst parts of Deadpool, like comics wise.
Oh, sure. Like
he can be pretty intolerable, but it doesn't happen. Not in the movies. You know, like. Oh yeah. Yeah, he makes that kind of, I guess, acerbic humor or whatever, more, palatable, what have you. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the writers are so good for the movie or if, like, Ryan Reynolds delivers it so good.
I mean, I think that's part of it because, one, Ryan Reynolds has a huge love for the character itself. So it's like he's going to do it justice and he's going to do what he feels is right for the character. Also, I feel like a live-action Deadpool would have a harder time maybe holding audiences' attention or not overstaying the welcome if he was constantly arguing with the other voice in his head like he does in the comics all the time. He doesn't have the energy of a Deadpool cosplayer at a convention.
Yeah, that's what they do such a good job avoiding.
Yes. Yep. All right, so anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet, we're going to talk about spoilers a little bit. So if you want to go do something else for a little bit and come back, please come back.
Scream la 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 at the top of your lungs for the next several minutes.
Plug your ears.
Yep. So I guess first thing, I loved the cameos. I absolutely thought
my God.
Some of those were fantastic.
It's like when you go to like a buffet style restaurant you've never been to, but all your favorites are there.
Yeah.
And it actually looks good.
Josh, what did you think of some of the highlights of the film?
So there were a few cameos that I wish we could have seen. I would have liked to seen Ben Affleck as Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know the concept. The concept art had Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Ghost Rider there.
Yeah, I don't love the Ghost Rider movies.
No.
So I was okay with that, even though I'm not gonna lie, I might have been like, oh, that's cool.
Well, it would have given Nicolas Cage a chance to just chew every last bit of scenery for the couple scenes he would have been in.
You know what?
Right.
They probably would have made the creative decision to have him urinate fire again.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I loved seeing Wesley Snipes back.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I went into the movie and I was like, oh man, what if they do like a bunch of cameos? What if Wesley Snipes did show up? But I was like, no, he won't show up.
The only cameo I really knew about was Jennifer Gardner, because she couldn't stop talking about it on social media.
The Wesley Snipes appearance, like I clapped when I saw it. Like,
I would have liked to see Punisher, but Thomas Jane would have been cool. But Dolph Lundgren Punisher would have been
that would have been excellent. Yeah.
And if that's the case,
that would have been awesome.
They could have pulled in the Hoff.
Oh, from the TV Nick Fury.
Nick Fury.
That would have been fantastic too.
Well, they did kind of allude to a couple of those because going back and rewatching it, the first big fight scene in the void, the purgatory kind of area they were in,
the nebulous place.
Yeah, there was a Cap shield and a Thor helmet that looked suspiciously like the Thor from the
Adventures in Babysitting.
No, the Incredible Hulk and Thor made for TV movie, and the Reb Brown Captain America shield.
Yep.
So that was kind of cool that they even kind of threw those in a little bit.
I'll say the only Captain America shield I remember is the one in Happy's office at the beginning of the movie.
There was one half buried in dirt.
In
the void. Yeah, it's like a blink and you miss it.
So because I do comics and stuff, like I have friends in the business, and he popped up on People I May Know, and I was like, what?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's excellent.
That kind of stuff happens from time to time, and sometimes I'll be like, I'm going to send them a friend request just to see, and they never accept it.
Yeah. Well, hey, you don't know if you don't try, you know?
Yeah.
So I am dying to know, what was the glaring thing that you didn't care for?
Okay, so two things. I guess one thing doesn't bother me that much, but I wish all of the villains would have been the actual actors. For instance, like Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut. Like they had a different one. There was a guy dressed as Bullseye.
There was.
Yeah, and there was a couple other of them. Like, I wish they could have done that, but I get you can't probably afford everybody.
They really could. They could have afforded Olivia Munn as Psylocke coming back.
They had that Disney money.
The only one that I really kind of give a pass. They had. I'm pretty sure it was the Russian from the Tom Jane Punisher.
Kevin Nash would have been awesome.
Kevin Nash would have been awesome, but he is so busted up from years of wrestling. I don't think he would have been able to hack it even for like one scene. But it would have been really cool to see him back.
Well, and who knows? Maybe they asked those people and they're scheduling or something. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. You never know. Sure.
But yeah, my main gripe, and I'm probably going to take this to the grave with me. Like, I'm going to be mad probably until I pass away. Let me focus.
Okay. Deep breath.
Yeah.
He's going to say this with his whole chest.
Yeah. Spider-Man is my number one favorite superhero.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Gambit is my number two. And unfortunately, although I think Channing Tatum seems like he's a cool guy in real life, I cannot stand him as an actor. I despise every role he's ever done in every movie he's ever been. And he was exactly as awful as Gambit as I expected. Like, he was exactly how I expected him to be. And I hated it so much, and I've lost sleep over it. And that's not even an exaggeration.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes sense because he was kind of played as a joke.
Yeah,
every line he delivered was basically a joke.
It's been kind of a bad year for Gambit fans.
Yeah.
So I have a first appearance of Gambit on eBay right now, and I had to lower the price. And I'm blaming Channing Tatum for that.
Oh gosh! Wow.
It's his fault.
Yeah.
And somebody on TikTok was doing a fan cast, and they mentioned Gambit, and they mentioned the guy from Euphoria. I think his name is like Jacob Elordi or something like that.
Oh, okay, sure.
And when they said that, I was like, that might be the best fan cast I've ever seen. And that's the thing about Gambit is like taller, sleek, slender. He's
not like super built like a Channing Tatum. He's not. Channing Tatum's wide. Gambit's not really wide.
Gambit is athletic.
He's charming. He's charming. And
he's charismatic.
Charismatic. That's what I was looking for.
He's charismatic, and he is more of a finesse agility fighter, and not a powerhouse like some of your other more typical superheroes are.
Right.
I will say, when he wasn't talking and it was actually that big action scene at the compound or whatever, that looked pretty good.
He was cool fighting. Yeah, when he fought, it was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, that one scene when he's like, I don't know, like shuffling the cards or whatever.
That was a little bit much.
He makes like a weird like pose and face and stuff while he's like the camera angles around him weird.
Well, that was also kind of from the X-Men animated series because he did that.
Yeah,
but that works in animation. It doesn't work in live action.
When I was watching the movie, I wish he would have done the thing from the X-Men '97 show where he kinetically charged one of the Wolverine's claws.
Oh, sure.
Of the two Wolverines they had fighting in that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about comics accurate height Wolverine though?
Oh,
that was good.
Hey. I stand for that, all right?
Yeah, you would have to.
As a fellow short king, I stand for this.
You're about the size of...
I am the size of comic accurate Wolverine.
Comic accurate Wolverine.
I'm not much taller than that myself, so I would have been totally fine with that. Like Daniel Radcliffe, I've been rooting for him.
Oh, he would be great.
I am surprised there wasn't a cameo because all of the fan cameo speculations they had ever since Hugh Jackman dropped the role was, Daniel Radcliffe was offered before Henry Cavill ever was.
I liked him, Deadpool bouncing around to the alternate Wolverines. Cavalrine was a nice surprise.
He did the voice really good. I thought
he really did.
He really sounded like Wolverine to me.
For one shot, he was really good. I really liked the. I was surprised they did the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine.
I know.
With the one hand and the giant hair and everything.
That one, when that popped up on the screen, that was my first no way moment of the movie.
I wish they would have put the Grey Hulk Joe Fixit in the same scene as Patch. It would have been even better if they made him look like Eric Bana from the first Hulk movie with the Gamma Dogs or whatever.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, that would have been good too. That would have been good.
Lou Ferrigno would have did it.
Oh yeah, you $50 and a sandwich and he would have done it. Yeah. Let's talk. The last thing, I guess. Let's talk. We've danced around it. Let's talk about the return of Wolverine. One last time. One last go around.
They're going to make him do this till he's 90.
Well, yeah, that's the joke. Yeah, but I think he did a fantastic job coming back and actually putting on the suit. That was exciting.
I loved the line that Deadpool said when he brought him into like the TVA room or whatever, and he's like, "And this one's not ashamed to come from a comic book."
Yeah.
Because all those early like Fox superhero movies, everyone just kind of looks like it's all leather fetishism. Well, Thanks, Matrix.
You say it was Matrix times.
Yeah.
So that's what was cool.
Yeah.
leather everywhere.
The only thing about his Wolverine, I'm really torn on it because I love the fact that at the end he does put the mask on and he has the full getup.
Oh, this is my gripe.
But the mask, costuming could have done another pass at that mask. It looked a little. Again, I don't want to be, disparaging because I also do the cosplay at cons from time to time, but it looked very mid-level cosplay. I guess is how I would describe it.
Yeah, like that scene, like at the end when like him and Deadpool are like holding hands, like at the MacGuffin device or whatever, and there's like that they're playing that music and it's like that slow, and he just kind of turns and smiles at Deadpool while being shirtless and still wearing that mask. It was the dumbest looking scene I think I've ever seen put to film. It is so goofy. It is so awkward. I was like, I don't like this.
But if not for that scene, you wouldn't get a reference to Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Where you say, as the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one.
I kind of Oh, go ahead.
I was proud of myself because I don't really like Star Trek that much, and I caught that, and I was like, that's Wrath of Khan.
I mean, I feel like Wrath of Khan is up there with like, it is so ingrained in pop culture. Everyone knows the Khan yell. Everyone knows the sacrifice scene.
Sure.
I'm going to get nitpicky, but I wish there was less jokey needle drops. Because they did it so many times. It's like, yeah, I get it. This song it's a goofy song for this part.
Yeah, I mean, they did that in the other films as well, but
This one definitely felt like it was hit. Like every other line was a reference or a joke.
well, I mean, you're talking about the music.
The
though.
music, yeah,
Yeah,
specifically.
they kind of jump into it a couple of times. I
I feel
don't
like they
know.
overdid it a little bit.
maybe one less.
Yeah.
and they would be fine. I did enjoy the Deadpool core, all of the Deadpools. They're showing up at the end.
You mean 2024 Halloween?
Yeah, yeah. Any comic convention, basically.
I mean, there for a long time, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting at least 4 Deadpools.
Deadpools and Harley Quinns. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a con on Halloween several years ago, and I counted Harley Quinns, and there were 26 just at the one con. So,
Woo!
Well, now they're going to be Lady Gaga Harley Quinn.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be easy because
That's easy.
there's no costume.
A red blazer.
A red blazer and a little bit of makeup on the eyes, and that's it.
It'll be that and Deadpool. That's all you'll see.
That's it.
Yeah, there'll be a couple costumes of Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. Some of the voice cameos were kind of interesting. Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Pool was kind of cool. I honestly, before I saw on the credits it was Nathan Fillion, I honestly thought that the head pool, the flying skull, was Danny DeVito. It sounded like Nathan Fillion was doing a Danny DeVito, basically. I guess the one big nitpick that I have with it is I understand that this movie is more about love letter to 20th Century Fox and getting those characters in and the whole thing with, having Deadpool and Wolverine. It's such a big deal. They relegated all of the important characters from the first 2 films into pretty much one scene cameos. I think Colossus, who was such a big deal in the other films, had one line. Dopinder had like one line.
Half a line.
And you could tell they shot them all on one day.
All in one day,
the beginning and the end was at the same place. Yeah.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who before the first Deadpool movie was a throwaway character from a Grant Morrison run. I think she was on 2 panels. Had a line. I'm glad they put Leslie Uggams in a little bit more as Blind Al, although having her talk up every line about how she can't have cocaine, again, kind of diminished the character.
Yeah, she was a little one note in this movie.
Yeah.
yeah. People that write about cocaine are stupid.
But again, the whole thing with Vanessa, Monica Baccarin, she definitely shot it in one day, and I know that in pre-production, I remember this. She was pushing because the Vanessa character from the comics was a shapeshifter. She was a mutant as well, and Monica Baccarin was pushing to have a larger role in this film, actually be able to do something, maybe even have a power like the shapeshifting or whatever. She knew enough about the character was like, I would like to be more than just a MacGuffin.
That would have been nice.
It would have been nice because she's a great actress. I remember her from Firefly, and she was great on that.
Yeah.
And
That's where I've seen her from. I was like, why do I know her? Why do I know her?
Mm-hmm. But the fact that all of the super important characters outside of Peter, which was fun, but again, kind of one note, they could have done at least something more with those characters. They could have
thrown him in that last fight scene.
They could have,
right?
They could have gotten to the Doctor Strange teleport wheel a little bit early, and instead of Deadpool and Wolverine jumping through it right away, the other characters could have run the opposite direction and joined the fight temporarily.
Kind of like when Andrew Garfield shows up in No Way Home.
Exactly, and they could have gone to the point where Deadpool goes, "Oh wow, this is just like No Way Home." They could have put a joke to it because everything's got to have a joke. But yeah, that's my one big complaint.
They could have put them in the fight with all the Deadpools. I think that would have made it seem like more believable when they won.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of won that fight out of nowhere.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because if the Deadpools that they showed, they're all regenerating. Why was Deadpool and Wolverine able to get inside the building and down to the MacGuffin machine without the other Deadpools? They would have just kept coming.
They just stop when Peter shows up.
They just kind of gave up.
Which is a good joke, but then like
they could have been like, "Hey, you guys go. We don't know what's going on, but that's too many Deadpools. You guys go. We'll take care of this." Yeah. But overall, it was an enjoyable experience. I'm really glad that they were able to kind of put a cap on the main series. I honestly am not sure if they will do a fourth one, but I have a feeling we will see Deadpool in crossover events.
They'll do a fourth one. It was the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time ever.
I guess it did beat Passion of the Christ for the number one spot.
Domestic.
That's
rated R films.
I forgot that movie's rated R.
Oh, how could you not?
Oh,
that movie is uncomfortable to watch.
I went on a date and watched that one.
Oh, yeah. That really set the mood, huh?
Too bad we don't have the sound effect from Wheel of Fortune when you hit the bankrupt.
Yeah. All right. So we do need to get into a little bit of this news. The only thing we're going to talk about, there are a couple other things we'll jump into, but the big thing is going to be D23. Josh, did you follow any of that big, basically Disney Con that happened last weekend?
I do not have an option. My social medias are just programmed to tell me everything about all that stuff all the time, which is a blessing and a curse. Like I had a wedding when Deadpool Wolverine came out. I had a wedding on Saturday, and so I was like, oh my god, because I usually go on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. So I had to wait till Sunday, and I was so nervous it was going to get spoiled. But yeah, I'm usually in the know about all things. I get texts from all my friends all the time. They're like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Dude, I've known that for 3 weeks."
Yeah, that is kind of the nature of the beast. I know. I wish I could go into just because we do this show. I wish I could go into things without spoilers and just kind of be surprised about stuff. But yeah, it's just bombarded with all the news and stuff. So again,
the curse of this industry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So again, I'm going to hit the jingle and we'll jump into some news here. All right, so yeah, let's talk about some things. Before we get into D23, there were a couple things I did want to kind of bring up. First off, there was a trailer for the next Sony Marvel semi-movie that looks...
Spider-Man character without Spider-Man?
The Morbius universe.
The Morbiverse. Kraven the Hunter. Have you seen this trailer?
I saw the original ones and stuff. Sony stuff, I will watch it, but I'm not going to the theater for that stuff.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
Definitely not.
Madam Web ended up on Netflix super fast.
Yeah.
And it's not the worst movie ever, but I'm glad. I almost went to see it because I was curious, and I was glad I didn't. But the same thing with Venoms and all that. I'm not going. I'm sorry.
Venom was
a good movie, and
Venom was all right. It's all the other ones that are kind of rough.
I liked Venom. I would say I liked Venom.
The first one. The
first Venom is pretty good, and it's based solely on Tom Hardy's charisma and the fact that he is just a slovenly. He's a mess through that entire movie,
slob.
Which is something you don't typically see in a superhero movie. They're usually pretty put together.
Yeah, pretty cut, pretty clean, shirtless
mess.
scene somewhere.
But no, if it's any indication of Sony's faith in this project,
commitment to quality.
Yeah, they released the first trailer for Kraven at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday night. So it was released in the middle of nowhere. So I work third. So I saw it when it first dropped.
That's prime Morbin time.
Yeah, that's Morbin hours right there.
Yeah,
the
Jared
Morbin.
Leto was waiting on it.
Oh yeah,
the Morbin. The Morbin era.
3 in the Morbin.
Very good.
Episode
very good.
title.
Yep. So yeah, it doesn't look great. And again, if you're taking Spider-Man out of the history of a character that is intrinsically tied to Spider-Man, you just lose
everything.
So much. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Next up, there was a short trailer for the docudrama Saturday Night, based on the first episode of Saturday Night Live. I believe I'm in the minority on this.
This one really rustled your jimmies. I can tell.
I did not care for this at all. My big thing, and I know this is very nitpicky, but not only did they get actors that don't even closely resemble the original cast and the key players in the history
not ready
of it.
for primetime players.
Well, that and Lauren Michaels and a lot of the behind the scenes folks, but they also haven't nailed. It didn't look like they nailed the characterization of them. They all seem like it just seems. I don't know. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right.
I believe you, but I don't know enough about old school Saturday Night Live.
You see, I'm a connoisseur of original SNL
to know, like,
yeah. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, I'll still watch it because it's Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son. So he would have been young, but he would have been around for a lot of that because Ivan Reitman was kind of a contemporary of a lot of those folks.
Yeah, because Jason was like 11 when Ghostbusters came out? Like, he's in the movie.
Yeah, that's right. So he would have probably been about, I don't know,
something like that.
5, 6, 7-ish, maybe 5 when the original SNL came out. And Ivan Reitman, I don't think he had a huge part in it, but he was definitely
there
tangentially, because he was a big part of Second City and the National Lampoon's magazine. When they were starting to kind of transition to like albums and television and stuff like that, he was right there with them. So he would have known Belushi. He would have known
Chevy Chase.
Not so much Chevy Chase because he was a New York guy, but like
Dan
Aykroyd, Gilda Radner. He would have known a lot of those folks, a lot of the key players.
Jason Reitman movies are generally pretty good.
That's the other thing. They're usually pretty good, but
did he direct Juno?
No, that was Diablo Cody.
Yeah,
no, Diablo Cody wrote it.
Yeah, Cody, why don't you look that up? I know he's done the 2 Ghostbuster direct sequel Ghostbuster movies, I guess. Although
it was Jason Reitman.
Oh, it was Jason Reitman?
Juno.
Okay.
Let me just take my foot out of my mouth.
But no, again, I'm not sold, unfortunately. But that might just be me. So yeah, let's hit the highlights on these D23 things. We have just a few minutes left on it. A lot of trailers, a lot of sequels, and a lot of remakes. Unfortunately, I wish there were more original films, and I think that just in general, I wish there were more original films out there instead of sequels and remakes. But I also understand Disney's going to make money. How do you make money?
Nostalgia.
You do. Nostalgia.
I see one thing on our list of things from D23 that was not a sequel.
Sure.
And it's that Elio.
Oh yeah, Elio. And they really didn't. They hardly touched on that at all. It's like
it's what they've done with the last handful of those movies.
Mm-hmm. And it's like a kid gets beamed into space and is a unwitting galactic ambassador to Earth by accident. It sounds kind of
dumb.
Not dumb, but it seems kind of simple. It's a kids movie.
It's very show us what you got, Rick and Morty episode.
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so. But yeah, let's talk about some of these sequels. We have Moana 2.
It looks like Moana.
Yeah, it looked fine. I mean,
it looked fine.
We're not the target audience, but still,
we're not the target audience
okay
on a lot of this stuff.
That's
unfortunately.
true.
I really love Moana myself.
Oh yeah,
the
it's
first
fantastic.
one,
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I thought the first one was great.
All the songs are catchy, super catchy.
Yep. And I mean, I kind of lump Moana in with Frozen a little bit as kind of similar.
Because what's his name did the songs for both of them, right?
Right, and he's coming back to do the songs in this one as well. Lin-Manuel Miranda, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Frozen 2 was fine.
I actually like Frozen 2 more than Frozen 1.
I didn't make it through Frozen 2, honestly. About halfway, and I was like, eh.
It is really slow in the middle.
Oh yeah,
I'll give you that. The ending's pretty good. So I mean, I would recommend going back and kind of checking that out again, just to say you did. But
does the plot have more to it than the first one? Because the first one,
a little bit, yeah,
really weak.
Yeah, a little bit,
yeah,
a little bit. But Moana 2, I mean, again, it's Disney. They're not going to mess things up. They're going to
except when they do.
Except when they do. Yeah. Speaking of mess things up, there's yet another live action CG hybrid Snow White film. This is like the second or third time they've done this.
This is the first Disney one, though.
Well, that's true, but it looks bad. Like they made the decision to do fully CG versions of the Seven Dwarves as opposed to casting actors. I think that's one, incredibly safe. I wish they would have actually given, not in a derogatory way, but they could have cast
actors,
actual
smaller
people,
actors,
yeah.
actual people. And two, the CG on the dwarves hits that real bad uncanny valley where they look almost human enough, but they're not quite human enough.
They're still trying to mimic that
the original
style,
but
which doesn't work because that movie was made in like 1928.
Oh, sure, and it also doesn't work when you have those proportions, but realistic looking skin with human pores and realistic hair and stuff. It's not right.
It's like Ugly Sonic.
Yeah.
They should have went one way or the other, incredibly stylized or incredibly realistic. Here, they're trying to have the best of both worlds, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it fails on both ends. One that looks a little bit better, I guess, is the Lilo and Stitch live action. Again, I don't like that they're doing so many live actions adaptations of their original animated films, but I've always liked Lilo and Stitch, and his 3D model looks fine.
So I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I love Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is far by probably one of my favorite Disney films of all time. I love the art style. I love the story. I love how everything feels and moves in that film. I'm going to hate this movie.
No, probably.
Oh, probably. Yeah, no doubt.
Stitch. Okay, I'll give them this. Stitch doesn't look bad.
And that's all we've seen.
Yeah, but also Stitch also looks like a live action Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like almost exactly like how the Pokemon did in Detective Pikachu.
I mean, sure.
Which is not bad because those models did look good. And they got obviously Stitch's voice to come back and be Stitch, because if you mess the voice up, you've completely just shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
They do this thing. Disney does this thing with their live action remakes where either it is so safe it's boring because it is shot for shot the same stupid movie.
Yeah.
Like they did with Beauty and the Beast. Or they make it so completely different that it's like, well, this doesn't feel right at all. Like they did with like The Lion King.
But once again, we're not the target audience. The target audience are kids that weren't alive
when these movies came out.
When the first one came out.
And then, so now they get their very own inferior version.
Well, they don't know it's inferior, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, they got Disney Plus accounts.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
Well, I haven't made it through... I tried to watch Beauty and the Beast. I made it like 5 minutes in. I think
that movie is a nightmare.
That movie stinks.
I had to see that in theaters for my previous workplace. I won't get into that, but it was the worst 2.5 hours I've ever sat in the theater, and that says a lot because I watch a lot of bad movies.
And we've had our fair share of bad theater experiences.
Yes,
too.
that too.
I do think when they first started doing these live actions, I think Lilo and Stitch was one where I was like, I bet if they did that one, it might be all right. I wouldn't actually mind seeing like Sword in the Stone or Emperor's New Groove. I think both those might actually work.
Oh
well.
Yeah, Emperor's New Groove would be pretty good because
Sword in the Stone would work too.
Yeah, Black Cauldron. I would love for them to actually go back and fix Black Cauldron.
They'll never do Black Cauldron.
No, they never will. But it would be great.
That movie's too niche.
Like a Lord of the Rings level Black Cauldron would be rad. Yeah.
A little closer to the source material or what have you. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Let's wrap things up on some positive ones because we've been kind of negative here. They're doing a Mandalorian and Grogu movie directed by Jon Favreau, which seems maybe a little safe, but he's also an excellent director, and he is
actually. I think Filoni's working on this one.
Jon Favreau is directing it.
Filoni's got his own movie.
He has his own. Yeah. It's different, but I like me some Mando and Grogu.
Oh yeah, it's the best of the newer Star Wars Disney stuff. Mm-hmm. The Mandalorian and also the other live action series I've enjoyed. Well, from what I've seen anyway, I still haven't watched Andor or Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's really
or
good.
The Acolyte.
I liked Ahsoka quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely seemed like live action Rebels, which I'm about because I loved Rebels. I thought Rebels was a fantastic series.
I think Ahsoka is my favorite non-Mandalorian live action show.
Of the 5 series, it's the
it's
2.5.
Yeah. Although I really liked the Boba Fett show, but I'm the only one that did apparently.
Hey, I liked Boba Fett. I had my nitpicks, but as a whole, I liked Boba Fett.
I watched the first episode. That was fine. The last thing, this is surprisingly not a movie trailer. They are introducing a new section to Disney World Magical Kingdom. It is Villains Land. So it's going to be entirely filled with walk-around versions of just about every villain from the films you could think of, even the weird ones, even the ones you wouldn't think about. Like
the snake from Jungle Book.
Yeah, they even have Zazu the snake from...
Zazu was the hornbill bird from The Lion King.
Yeah.
Right.
Ka was the snake from the Jungle Book.
That's it. Ka. Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do that, but...
it'll probably be a puppet.
Oh, probably.
It'll be a puppet.
Yeah. But
That's
like...
The people they didn't hire to be dwarves, they put them in the snake.
Yeah, it's just one big snake. Yeah.
It's the 8 guys in one snake.
But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this, and it doesn't sound like they're going to be destroying any other section of the park in order to build this. They're actually building out a little bit further.
Not that like Disney doesn't own that whole section of
Well,
Florida anyway.
sure.
They always, I am cautiously optimistic because they always say they're going to do these great things with the park. And then, like, partway through, they're like, well, it turns out we didn't want to spend that much money, so you get something that's about half as good as what we said it was going to be.
Well, that's what happens. You have
the Willy Wonka experience.
Yeah.
Well, there's like multiple phases of it. You get the blue sky phase where it's like the Imagineers can go in and just... money's not an object. Think of whatever would be awesome. And sometimes... And then Disney execs come in and kind of pare it back until they kind of reach a happy medium. But sometimes, especially lately... the execs kind of over anticipate what things
be popular?
cost. Well, what things cost currently. And yeah, they do have to kind of roll it back. But I'm excited for this. I haven't been to Disney in quite a long time.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, but it's an interesting idea because there's so much. The other characters, the hero characters, have had so much play over the years.
I feel like this is the section of the park for the Disney adults because almost every Disney adult I have ever run into has some kind of
affinity for
or fascination with one or some of the villains.
Villains have more fun.
Well, they do. Also, James Wood loved playing Hades so much. Every time they needed a Hades voice for something, he did it.
That's because he's actually evil.
Well... yeah.
Will this be as cool as the proposed Universal Monsters Land at the new Universal Park?
Yeah, that actually might be what this is going up against.
Because if you look into that, it seems like it's going to be real cool.
Yeah. Like if we get a walk around old school Frankenstein, old school Dracula. Yeah.
They should get everybody special glasses that makes everything look black and white.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
They're literally gonna have like a big flaming windmill like out of Frankenstein on the premises. Like it sounds really cool.
That's pretty rad.
That's metal.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's metal.
All right, so we're actually at the end of the show. So before we do our final wrap up, Josh, do you want to go ahead and plug your stuff one more time?
Oh, sure. Jeez.
I twisted your arm,
Yeah, twist my arm here. Yeah, I mean, just cutthroatcomics.com. You'll find everything you need on there. We're Ohio's most offbeat publishing company since 2015. I think we pride ourselves in having something for everybody. I mean, there's kids' books, there's comic books, there's all-age comic books that are almost sold out. You know, got a couple self-helps. Yeah, just something for everybody, pretty much. We're a full-fledged publishing company, so we don't just focus on one thing. We don't do one thing great. We do a lot of things pretty good.
Well, excellent. Josh, again, thank you very much for coming on. Best of luck with the Kickstarter. I know it's gonna pull through, and it's gonna be great. And I can't wait to read Turkey Sharks #5.
It's fun, man. And I'll tell you, just real quick, when Cristiano, the artist, sent me the final page, him and I had like an inside out, sad, happy moment.
I bet.
We were just like, this is a perfect ending to these characters. So it's
kind of a bittersweet moment sort of thing.
It very much was.
Yeah. All right, so everybody, you have been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you all for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com.
You can also find us on our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, or support our Patreon. All of those are at links.nerdoverload.com.
You can get in contact with us in so many ways. You can send us an email at staff@nerdoverload.com. You can give us a call on the Nerd Overload hotline. The number is 740-229-9562. Give us a call, and we might play the message on the show.
Yeah, we still have one in the hopper that we're gonna get to.
We'll get
promise
to
it next week. We will get to it next week. You can find. Yeah, you should call in. Absolutely.
Hey guys.
Would still not be the weirdest voice message we've gotten.
It's true.
Yeah, there's one that takes the cake. We're on various podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Everything goes up on YouTube, and we're planning some other stuff over there as well. So it's not just podcast. It's going to be who knows what. It's going to be fun though. We'll make it work.
We're still figuring it out.
Subscribe on the podcast apps too. Like, don't forget to hit that little plus sign or
plus
whatever.
sign or the bell or whatever. Yeah. Finally, I would like to thank again Josh Nealis for being on the show, Parker helping us out over at the Facebook page, and David Pencil for our intro and outro. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
Pizza out.